Today, I want to talk about something all your favorite passive income investors do, and this is something so hard, so challenging, most don't even succeed in it, and we're going to give it a solid try. So let's break this down and jump right into it. Welcome back, passive income investors alike, to another awesome video of something that I am going to endeavor into that a lot of your favorite investors, including people like Grant Cardone, Valuetainment there, all these guys have been doing this recently. Even I think Financial Education did this as well. And I am talking about putting on an event, actually renting a space, whether it be a theater or a hall, and actually hosting an event related to whatever topic you are thusly interested in enough to think that you can drive enough traffic to go to that event. Now, this is something that is insanely costly, and if it flops, it ends up costing you a lot of money. Now, many of you may not know, but I'm actually a full-time magician. That's right, guys. If you go to the related channel, you can actually see my magic page. I don't post a lot there because I mainly do live events. The kind of live events I do are privately hired. So companies like the Royal Bank actually hire me. They hired me this year again for their end of the year gala. Not to toot my own horn here too much, I just do a lot of private events, kid shows, weddings especially, guys, and I've been making a living off this for over a decade, and it's actually how I fund my portfolio. But I want to break down the structure of what it actually costs and what it takes to put a real show together, and you guys are actually going to get me to witness me doing this here on this YouTube channel. I think I'm going to do a from scratch to the show itself, what it takes to actually manifest this into reality and the challenges and things that I will be facing. But let's just break down the overall idea of it. The first thing we're looking for is a venue. Now, a venue can cost anywhere from $4,000 to $15,000 depending on where you want to do it. Now, a $4,000 venue usually gets you somewhere, it can get you a lot. Like if you're looking at basically like an empty hall where you're going to fill it with chairs and everything, those empty halls cost nothing. You can usually get them even for $1,000 or a couple $1,000. But if you're talking about a $4,000 investment, usually you're going to get somewhere between 500 and 1,000 seat theater or venue. And then if you're scaling up to the 10 or 15,000 mark, you're really starting to look at places like the Sony Center where you can seat somewhere between 4 and 5,000 people, which sounds cheap. Now, this is before we even begin to talk about the venue fees, because you still have to include the fact that you have to pay the people that are going to be doing the website. Like if they're going to be selling the tickets for you, like through Ticketmaster or something like that, you're also going to be talking about people that are actually going to be there to take the tickets and let the people in. All of that has to get accumulated into this price. And we're still not talking about insurance, though mind you, insurance is only going to cost somewhere around $400 to $500 for me personally to do what I want to do, which is, of course, a magic show. This is step numero uno, which I have well on the way. I'm doing a meeting next Thursday for the theater that I briefly mentioned in one of these videos in the past, and that's going to be the deciding factor to actually rent it, and it is going to cost me $4,000 just for the rental fee, guys. This is just the start, by the way. So now we're going to look into the marketing. So now that we got the venue booked, we know what's going on with that, and you simply take all your base costs, so your insurance, the entire venue rental, and some actual other exclusion costs, but you're going to take that and divide it out by seat, and you're going to know what your underlying cost per seat is. In my circumstances, just for the rental alone and the insurance, and the basic fees I've worked out, it's going to cost me somewhere between $8 and $10 for one of these seats. Mind you, is very expensive, even for me in the situation I'm in. If you scale up, usually the bigger you go on venue size, the cheaper by rental the seat would be. Like at the Sony Center, I think the Sony Center rents for $10,000, which works out to being about $250, $3 a seat, which is a heck of a lot cheaper than what I am currently paying. But let's keep going here. So we're going to talk about marketing. Marketing is the next hardest part, and this is where the golden goose lays the egg. You got to ask yourself, the show and the marketing kind of go together, but I specifically want to talk about the marketing because when you watch any kind of a show or you watch any of your favorite investors, when they go to put shows on, there's certain ways that they market these. Now, again, depending on what the show is about, really depends on how you're going to analyze the marketing. But if we take someone like Grant Cardone, for example, he put a massive, he bought a massive venue. It was like a stupid huge, I can't remember what it was. It was some like big, it was almost like an arena. It was like one of those places, like the Rogers Center where you do ball games and stuff. Like it was a massive place. He had tons of seats. I don't know what he would have paid for that, but all of his sales are generated through, I think, 2 or 3 places, and don't quote me on this. I know for sure he was running ads. I saw his ads on YouTube, Facebook for that show, so that was one segment. He hired in a bunch of celebrities, people like Damon John, a ton of celebrities, and that helps sell the show as well because just through them alone and the followings they have really pumps up those seat sales. And then the last thing you're usually going to see them do is promote it on their own private channels like YouTube and things of that nature. Now, my personal marketing and what I'm planning on doing is Facebook, perhaps YouTube, but mainly looking at Facebook ads because they're cheaper. I understand them a little better than I understand Google AdSense. And then essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to test it out. I'm going to make 3 videos. I'm actually going to post here for you guys to witness and see, so you can actually judge them for me and tell me what you think of my ads that I'm going to be putting up. So I'm going to be doing that for sure. And then on top of that, I'm building street illusions, almost like levitations or things that will just catch your eye, that I'm going to be using to promote the show, that I'm going to be putting somewhere in the main street of Markham, along with posters and actually just handing out business cards and anything I can, and going and performing on the street where I know it's going to be really busy on certain weekends to promote the show. And then finally, the last way I'm going to mainly try out marketing as well is, so after doing Facebook ads and then the posters and the actual street performing, my favorite part of being able to promote this show is through my live events, because I do privately hired events, and a lot of them I'm out every week doing restaurants and shows. I meet a lot of people already, and I'm going to make up some business cards just to hand out promoting that specific show. So people that I run into and interact with, I'm hoping are going to be the biggest draw for me, along with Facebook ads. But you never know. We'll see how the street illusions and the street performing goes, and I'll try and update you guys on that as well. But this is later in the year. This is just the beginning, guys, just the beginning. Now we have to talk about the show itself, because the integration between the show and the marketing really matters. So the show and the marketing kind of go hand in hand, and what I have actually done here is I've been fortunate enough to be performing for a decade, and I feel like my show is pretty concrete, and I can add a few things to it that would scale it up. The show itself, my show itself, is called The History of Magic. And believe it or not, the first thing I'm doing right now to get the marketing underway is I just purchased the domain. I had to buy it privately from a guy that already owned historyofmagic.com. So that process is happening right now. The payment's going through escrow, and I'll be able to update you guys on that as well. But I'm literally just in the process of currently doing that just to get the name sake. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm a big enough celebrity to sell a show on my own name. I want to be able to kind of mix manage my marketing. I want it to be my actual website where it's my personality. If you want to go there, you can learn about my show, or if you have no idea who I am, but you're more interested in the show based on the history of magic, where we're going to break down hypnotism, psychics, extreme magic. It's going to be a very fun show, and it's something that I'm really good at and I'm very successful at already. So I figure, why not take it under my own belt, put the capital up front and do the rental. Now, a lot of people, this is where things can get very pricey as well. The shows can be very expensive to put together. You have to hire actors, DJs, all this stuff. And luckily, I know all of that stuff like the back of my hand. It is my life. It's my bread and butter. I used to work for a production company. There's one thing I understand very well is theater. I have gone through so many theater shows because we're close to Stratford here as well. I've been very involved in theater my whole life, but lately not so much, which is why I want to see if I can start undertaking this project. So the show and the marketing have to be integrated in a way that matches very well, and the show itself has to be something people actually want to witness. It can't be a copy-paste deal, which is why I don't think I could sell a magic show on my name, because I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, Kyle Livingston, The Illusionist, go watch him, it'll be cool. I don't like the sound of that at all. Like David Blaine, you get David Blaine. He's a big celebrity, you know who he is. Copperfield, you kind of get the vibe of what you're going to go and watch. But I think the history of magic and the way my show is structured, it's almost like a variety show where I just do so much. I think it's something incredible, unique, and it's been doing well for me in the past. And because I have the marketing and the outlets that I have to promote the show, I think now is the best time ever to try and do something like this. So when we divide out all of these costs at the level that I'm trying to do this on, this entire show, just to put the show on, let me put this in perspective, is going to cost somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. Luckily, the rental fees up front are very cheap and affordable. They only usually take about a 50% down payment and the rest of the day of, which they usually just take out of the ticket sales anyways. My break-even point, depending on how I plan on structuring the ticket sales, will be usually around 200 seats. So, I mean, I got to hustle enough just to get 200 seats sold, and the amount of work and stress and things that usually involve onto people, it's kind of weird to say, look, you're going to produce, you're going to edit, and you're just going to design an entire show from start to finish, including the marketing and the branding and everything in between. It's an incredibly large amount, and it's not something anybody can just undertake. Some people have stage fright and can't even get on stage. Luckily, I've been used to standing on stage in front of people like the Royal Bank, where you're looking at 7,000 people. It's stupid huge shows, not to toot my own horn again, but it's just something that I'm used to. As you can clearly tell on this YouTube channel, I seem pretty confident in talking not only to the camera, but it to a crowd full of people as well. So this is a huge amount of verbal diarrhea for you guys, as I'm sure you can understand. And I want you to let me know in the comment section below if you have any tips or things that I could actually learn from you, if you have any experience in going down this road. Now, when we look at all of this together, we usually will see a lot of passive income investors go down this route sooner or later, because this is one way to actually produce passive income. And you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, that sounds like a lot of work for passive income. Well, it is an incredibly large amount of work, but when we're talking about 520 seats just for this specific show that I'm putting on, if you charge full price, say you're getting $40 a seat, your total gross revenue would probably be somewhere between $20,000 and $21,000. And then after the $8,000 to $10,000 fees, you're still doubling your money in such a compressed amount of time. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, that's not that great. Like, you're only doubling your money. In the short amount of time for investing, that's huge. But if in the real world, if you can scale this, which is what I'm testing out to see if my marketing and my show works good enough for scale, then what I can do is I can jump up the venue. I'll have a bit of extra capital to make a larger investment and try and scale the entire thing that I'm trying to do here, because in the end, I want to get out of some of the stuff that I'm doing, and I'd much rather focus on doing shows. And I'm very fortunate that I'm in a position now where I can afford to do this and take the risk while I can and see if I can pull it off, because if this works, it's something that I absolutely love doing, and to get involved in it in this way, I think would not only be educationally huge for me, but I also think it would be a good mentally health kind of a decision, which again, for a lot of you might think, holy crap, the stress of doing all this and actually having to perform the show on top of that might be a lot. But again, it's my life, it's my passion, and it's something that I've enjoyed doing for more than a decade now, full time. So it's a very interesting goal that I'm trying to achieve here. And again, guys, this is something not a lot of celebrities or people that put on shows talk about. Like, even Grant Cardone didn't really talk about the numbers behind what this was costing. You can just presume it was expensive, but then you just times it out by the amount of people that showed up at the average ticket sale, and I guarantee you the guy probably banked 6 figures. Even now, as I scroll through Facebook, there are ads that come up promoting like real estate shows. There's a lot of people putting these big real estate shows on with these big celebrities like Pitbull that have made millions off their music and decided to put it all into real estate. And they're really like pumping those shows up because I guess they're really popular right now. Which that guy's name? There's a big guy, Tony Robbins. That's Tony Robbins is everywhere right now too. Those shows seem to be a huge selling point, and that guy literally just gets on stage and you know, motivates people, and that's an incredible way of producing passive income for him, because you know, you could try and book 15 shows in a year all across wherever you want, so long as you got a work fees and all the extra fees, and then you just try and sit at home and do the marketing. I mean, it's generally passive income because you're going to show up and literally do 1 day's of work. And then also, once you figure out how all this works, you can hire people. So instead of actually going to a manager to do all this, where you're upfronting the capital, but they're doing all the work and taking a huge percentage, you learn how to do this on your own, figure it out, and then you hire somebody to start managing it and just implementing the ideas that you have proven worked and the tools that you have figured out. But this is all super fascinating to me, and it's a very interesting thing all around, I think, to even talk about. So if the YouTube video gets some traction, I'll probably continue doing this. But I want you guys to slap a like. Definitely hit a like if you want to see me update you and actually walk you through the process, because I literally came up with this idea a month ago and we're just starting to implement it now. It's a little crazy. The website cost me $1,000, but that's the price of doing business. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. So stay cool, stay awesome, guys. Look super forward to chatting to you tomorrow.